Okay, welcome back to Second Amendment on a Budget. I scored. My wife bought me the Lyman American 8 station turret reloading press for an early Father's Day gift. Also got the new Hornady reloading guide. My other ones were quite outdated. And we got the primer flipper. Now I've already got this set up. This is a take two video. We had a camera failure, and so we're going to do this. I've already set this up. I've got 6.5 Grendel dies on one side. I've got 243 dies on the other side, and I use a universal decapper when I'm decapping brass. That'll keep me from ever breaking a decapping pin off of my dies. What I'm using these dies for basically is to do the resizing. So I would have already decapped these, but what I've got is some 6.5 Grendel cases. I've got some brand new brass from Hornady, and I will run through that really quick and show you how easy this is to operate. Now I'll tell you in advance, I'm not a big fan of the primer system, neither are 99% of the people if you watch the reviews. So let's go through this and I'll show you how this works. One issue I ran into with this is the jam nut, which is supposed to go on the bottom of the handle. There's not enough threads here, and since this is an angle, you've got a pinch point right here, and the nut hits. And so the only choice I have is to possibly use my die and run some more threads up here. If I can get about 3 or 4 more threads, I can get the jam nut on. I'm going to contact Lyman on Monday. Today's Sunday morning, Saturday night, and I will see what they want to do. If they're not willing to do anything, which I don't find likely with Lyman, I could always just put some Loctite in here and Loctite this down. It's not really a big issue, but after a while this handle will come loose. So anyway, we'll see what they have to say on Monday. Okay, so you use the primer flipping tray. It's got the little lines in here. You dump your primers in here. You shake them to get your anvils up and the heads down, and then you put this in, flip it over, then you open it, and you should have nothing showing but the heads on these. So I'll put 10 in here. I'm only going to reload 10 since this is a take two, and we'll go from there. That was 11 really, but okay. I'll shake these up. Should be all anvils. Put this on nice and tight. Flip it over. Anybody that's got a Dillon reloading press or any type of progressive will know how this works. So then you take your primer tube and you pick these up in the tube. In take one, I reloaded 20 of these, and like I said, this will be part two, or take two. I've got a primer that's still sticking in here. Let me find something to poke that down carefully because we're touching the anvils and we don't want to set off the primer. Okay, put the tube in here, pull the pin, you can hear them drop down. This is the blast shield. It also protects this tube from getting bent. This is pretty substantial, pretty solid here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take one of my brand new 6.5 Grendel cases, and I'm going to neck size and full body size without bumping the shoulders back. If you watch my previous video on headspace comparators, you'll see that these shoulders on the brand new brass are about 8 thousandths of an inch farther back than what my Fireform cases are, so I don't want to push these shoulders back. We put this in, and I'm telling you, this is without even any lube. I mean, I'm using basically one finger, okay, two fingers to pull that up. I look at it, I've done the neck, I've done the body, but I haven't touched the shoulders. So with this in, you're going to pull back on this. That will load a primer into the mechanism, and then push it forward. Okay, and then just like anything else, push down, and it didn't go all the way, probably because I'm at an odd angle, and it's still not. I don't know why. Okay, now that primer's seated. Last night I didn't have any problems. Tonight I'm having problems. This 15-inch handle, you've got a lot of leverage there, and this is really quite easy to operate under normal circumstances, but it's very late and I have to get up and go to work tomorrow. Okay, so I'll set that out of the way. Well, I got this set for 29.1 grains of BLC2. That's according to Hornady's book. So once again, let's get that zeroed. Okay. I need to change my speed. I've got it on normal speed, and I know BLC2 flings all over the place on normal speed, but let's see how it works. We've had pretty good luck with this, but 29.1. That's on normal speed, and I was really afraid that I'd go over on that. That's first charge since I warmed this up, so I am going to change the speed to slow. Okay, charge the case, put it back in there, it will run again. Now I have to wait until this finishes, because if I shake my bench, it will mess up my Hornady powder measure, and we really don't want to take that chance, so I'll wait until it finishes dispensing, and then I'll set another primer in. One of the problems I've had with this primer, this priming system, is sometimes the primers will come in upside down, so each time you want to make sure that they're straight in the cup and they're not upside down or they're sideways or whatever. If they are, get them corrected before they go in. And I'll tell you right now, from my experience last night, I've always hand primed with my Lee hand primer, and I'll probably do the same thing again. Okay, so that's another perfect charge, and what I'm going to do, like I say, I'm not using any lube. I did buy some different lube. It's a unique case lube from Hornady. It was only $4.99, and I guess I probably should use that, but okay, pull back on the handle, push forward. Now, this one is upside down. This is one of the problems, like I said, you have with these. So let me get this straightened out, and I'll get back to you. I kind of got ahead of myself with that last one. I got the primer flipped over to where the anvil was up, and it's in. I got the case charged. The nice thing about the turret press is you move it over. Okay, one of the things I did is I got a little bit ahead of myself. With these progressive presses, the reason I got this is you can leave the case in the shell holder, and all you have to do is rotate the head and go to your next operation. What I'm using is Hornady SST 129 grain. These are heavy for caliber. That's why I did not have the load data prior to getting the new Hornady book. A friend of mine worked up some loads on Quick Load computer program, and he gave me some values for different powders that I use. And it was really funny because when I got the new book, his loads from Quick Load were right in line with what Hornady was recommending in their reloading book. But these are 129 grain SSTs. They have a bullet coefficient of about 485, so they should be a pretty good bullet shoot. I want to see what a heavier for caliber grain bullet will do. They're a good looking bullet. They're nice thing about 6mm and the 6.5s. They're long, skinny. They fly really true. And if I ever get some decent weather, I'll go out and try these. But unfortunately, here where I live, it seems like thunderstorms are the rule of the day. So I put these in. I run these up. I'm going to rotate this around. Now, I measured these last night. They're exactly 2.260. I ran through all of them. Every one of them came out the same. This head does not move. It's got no way to move. And I've not touched these dies, so I know that this one's going to come out the same way. I'll measure these later, but for the sake of brevity, I'm going to just show the next step. I put a very light crimp using the Lee factory crimp die. I don't like a heavy crimp on a precision bullet, and these just barely left a mark there. But what that does is going to hold the bullet under recoil from the other rounds, so we're good there. Now, I have one other one loaded up here, and we'll throw a bullet in that. So I'm trying to hurry here, folks. I don't want to bore you too much with reloading. Now, when I seat a bullet, I like to rotate it a little bit so that it'll help in concentricity. I don't have a run-out gauge. One of these days when I can afford one, I'll get one, and I'll see if my theory holds true. Now, after seating the bullet, back to the crimp. Very light crimp. Check it. Very good. Okay. Rotate back to the sizing die. That one was a little tight. Again, I'm not using any lube. I should be using lube, but I haven't. Okay. My primer is good. Alright, get that just in the right place. Push. Check. Perfect. Okay, I have a powder charge already weighed out here. Like I said, this Hornady auto powder dispenser has been a godsend for me. It's been very reliable. Everybody complains about overages with their powder charges. I don't know why. If you use the correct speed for the type of powder you're using, you should have pretty good results, but most people don't think about that. And Hornady even has some custom speed adjustments. You can run this thing on fast, and just before it gets to the maximum charge limit, it will slow itself down and it will just trickle out. It does that anyway, but you can have it stop. It's high speed at a certain point, and I haven't gone through the custom adjustments, but they're there if you need them. Okay, another couple of tenths, and this one will be good, and then I can seat my bullet. It's just barely trickling out here. A couple of grains, flakes, balls, whatever. Just about there. Hello? Just about. Okay, now I can seat my bullet. And a little rotation. And then I put my crimp die. Inspect. Everything's good. Next one. Okay, I put a little bit of lube on these. It's just crazy to keep trying to do this. You're just asking for problems. So I use some of this unique case lube. It's a Hornady product. I don't know if you can tell, but I like Hornady, I like Lyman, I like Lee. You get good products from all the manufacturers nowadays. This was only $4.99. I'd never used this before, but I thought, what have I got to lose? $5? I was at the store anyway, so I might as well try it. I've been using the Hornady one-shot spray, and I was noticing I was getting micro dents in the shoulders, and from what I understand, that's a petroleum based, and that's what happens with petroleum based. This unique case lube, it almost feels like Imperial sizing wax for anybody that's ever used that. It's supposed to be non-petroleum, and it's supposed to be easy to clean off. And from the cases I did last night, when we thought we were recording, and we weren't, that was really easy to clean off, and those cases came out just pretty. So let's size this. Again, you can see that this is almost flawless, or effortless. Oop, I want to check that. Okay, primer is the right way. We're good. Charge. We'll move this over to the bullet seating. Pull out a bullet. Now that hasn't started yet because it hasn't zeroed. It might take a minute, or I can just push the 0 button and make it 0. But I just figured for the sake of brevity, I'll just get this done. I'll zero that out in a minute. Back to the crimp. Very light crimp. No effort at all. Perfect. And there she blows. Okay, this is my final case, and let's get it done. Like I said, I put some lube on there. Okay, that's 9 out of 10 of the primers came out on the correct side. I'm starting to like this primer system a little bit better, like it better than I did last night. So a couple of cautions to go through and a couple of features. This has a 4-inch stroke. The Redding T7 only has a 3 3/4 inch stroke. So if you're going to load some really large ammunition, this one would be the way to go. Otherwise, there's nothing wrong with the Redding. There's advantages and disadvantages to both. This one is hollow inside, but it still weighs about 35 pounds. I don't know exactly how much the Redding weighs, but this has 8 stations. The Redding has 7. I'm only using 3 for each caliber of dies that I have, plus my 7th one, which is my universal die. Earlier today, I sized some bullets, and I used my blank hole for that. So there was an advantage. I didn't have to move any of my dies. I have a spare for when I need it. If I had a powder through die, I could use that also to pour my powder in instead of having it to do it out here on the bench, or on my bench block. Another caution I have for you: don't put your hand back here to hold this. When you come up, this ram will get very close to the side of the main body, and it will pinch your finger. I've done that probably 4 or 5 times in the past 2 days with this, so that's a caution. Also, when you rotate this, use the handle. If you put your hand in here and you rotate it, it will get pinched between this and the blast shield for the primers. And yeah, this is solid. It's cast iron and it's machined, but that's still pretty solid, and it does not have any flex. It doesn't have any give. So the only thing it's going to give is your fingers. So be very cautious if you use one of these. One of the other little quirks about this, the shell holders. They float in the ram. Since I've used up all of my primers, I can take this off so I can show you. Okay, this just floats in the ram and it spins around. I am going to get some O-rings from Harbor Freight. and I'll put them in this slot here. Last night I tried a rubber band, I just tied it off, and it worked. That's something to consider. They say that having a float like that will help with the concentricity. I don't know. I'm new to this, so I guess time will tell. Also, some of the people have complained about the primer catch system. The tray is down here. It just snaps onto the housing. The primers come out this little hole down here. Some people have said, oh yeah, well, it's not good for depriming because with this big hole right here, the primers will just shoot out. I deprimed using my universal deprimer about 345 cases earlier today, and I had 2 primers out of 300 that hit the floor. Everything else went in the primer tray, so I guess you'd say that's a win. I'll give that a pass. But I just wanted to give you a quick view of my Lyman All-American 8-station press, and I'll tell you what, this has made my life a lot easier just in the 2 days that I've had it, and it's very solid. And as I take the handle out, I'm still getting used to a lot of things, and as I'm turning it, I keep pulling that handle back and farther and farther. I need to learn how to get that handle and keep pressing in on it while I'm doing that. It's just one of those quirks you learn as you go. But thanks for watching. Leave your comments below, and I'll see you next time.